brothers and sisters, for that nice warm applause. I want to thank President Tom Conway for your friendship. Tom, we go back and forth on speed dial all the time, texting back and forth. And Tom, thank you for what you do. And I had the honor to be in Tom's home local at the beginning of my tenure, and I actually loved it. So thank you very much. To Secretary Treasurer John Shin, thank you, Secretary Treasurer, for all your great work as well. To all the offices and district directors, to the delegates of this great convention, to the Canadian directors and delegates, the international guests, thank you for being here today. And I want to give a special shout out to all the workers at MGM Grand for making this convention possible. So how about we give them a nice round of applause. I also want to, there's a couple special shout outs I have to do here, and one was the man that was walking out on the stage with me, Stevie Finnegan. Thank you, Stevie Finnegan. I don't know where you are. You're somewhere. I've known Stevie my entire life. And when I was the mayor of Boston, we worked actually before that, and as a state representative, we worked very closely together, and then as mayor. And to Director Del Vitale, thank you, Director Vitale, and all the members from, where's District 4? Over here. And I have to, sorry for the rest of the country here, but I have to give a special shout out to Boston. Because as mayor of Boston, I work with the Steelworkers in the Parks Department, in the Technology Department, and other parts of the city of Boston. And the early days of the pandemic, they helped keep our city going every single day. And I want to thank them for their amazing work, and whether it was driving food, bus drivers as well, taking food to our kids or whatever it was, so thank you very much. And I have one more shout out I have to go. He might be known in this room a little bit. Jim Frederick, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Osha and former Assistant Director of Health, Safety, and Environment Department, right here in your own union. So thank you, Jim, for all you do. And I want to thank every single member of this great union for the work that you do every single day. The manufacturing, metal, cement, paper, and mine workers, the healthcare workers, the energy workers, the education workers, the public employees and service workers, the transportation workers. And I hope I didn't miss anyone that you cover, but if I did, you as well. This is one of the greatest unions in the world. You build our country, and you are rebuilding our country right now. And I want to tell you today that President Biden, Vice President Harris, myself, and the entire administration have your back. When you are working hard every single day, when you are bargaining and standing up for your core workers, and when you're helping others workers organize, we support you, we stand with you, we believe in you, and we're putting that belief into action. I think this might be your first time together since the pandemic. And I want to have everyone take you back for a moment to January 2021 and what President Biden inherited. Millions of Americans couldn't find jobs. Millions of kids were still home, learning from home. Thousands of small businesses have closed. The pandemic was still out of control. No vaccine plan in place. People's lives were at risk every single day. President Biden changed that. His American Rescue Plan got shots in arms, relief to families, schools opened safely, business hired again, and the economy opened up, and America got back to work. And we get the latest jobs number this past Friday. We've added another 500,000 jobs to our economy. That's 9.5 million jobs have been added to our economy since President Biden took office. And what's even better, for the first time since the pandemic began, the job market is 100% fully recovered. Manufacturing is fully recovered. Construction is fully recovered. Transportation is fully recovered. More people are working in America now than any other time in American history. And the unemployment rate is 3.5%, is the lowest in 53 years. So when the other side says to you, this economy sucks and we're not doing it, you can tell them those numbers. Those are real numbers. And that's incredible job growth. Many economists in this country didn't even think this kind of recovery was even possible. And those numbers, what they really mean is more workers have leverage to demand better wages, better benefits, better opportunity, and better contracts. President Biden has said from the very beginning he'd put power back in the hands of working people, and that's exactly what he has done. The American Rescue Plan did something else as well. There was a provision in that bill that didn't make much news. It was something the president heard about campaigning around the country from union members. And a lot of you in this room are covered by public employee pensions, but we have lots of people in this country covered by multi-employer pension plans. Those plans were underfunded. Many were at risk of going broke. Some have already started to cut their benefit payments. And millions of workers and retirees were at risk. Can you imagine for a minute, you work your whole life, you do everything right and take care of your family, and when you're about to retire, you find out that your pension is going to be half of what it's supposed to be. This president, when he learned about that, said this can't happen in the United States of America. He made sure those pensions got funded and those benefits are protected. And it's my honor as Labor Secretary to oversee those plans. We are fully funding every single multi-employer union pension plan in the country through 2051, and under President Biden, no one can take that away from our members. And I want to give you something else to think about. The American Rescue Plan passed with only Democratic votes. It got zero support from the other side. And I think that's unfortunate. I think it's a shame because all people benefited, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, independent, unenrolled, it didn't matter. What it tells you is that leadership matters. Who you, and I heard the conversation before this, who you elect into office matters. The issues you focus on matter. Your rights, your opportunity, and your children's future are at stake. And look at what the president did next. He said he would be reaching across the aisle to deliver results for working people in this country. And he did that. President Biden passed and signed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. This country used to have Infrastructure Week all the time. It involves lots of talking. Now we have Infrastructure a Decade moving forward. It involves lots of buildings. The vast majority of the money is going into projects covered by the Davis-Bacon and prevailing wage laws to make sure that workers get the same amount of benefits that we do in this room. And at the Department of Labor, we're strengthening Davis-Bacon rule for the first time in 40 years. We're making sure workers get the wage increases they deserve. Thank you for that. That's for my Boston people. The president also signed an executive order requiring project labor agreements on all large federal construction projects. Project labor agreements protects taxpayers' investments, and they make sure projects are built by skilled workers. And here's something else that the infrastructure law is delivering. It's something I talked about with President Conway. And I was with you 1 year ago to kick off We Supply America campaign in Burns Harbor, Indiana. Any steelworkers here from Indiana? I know Frank Mervan was up here a minute ago. We got a couple. Thank you for Larry Bird, by the way. Those of you from Indiana, no one else in the whole room got that joke, but Larry Bird's from French Lick, Indiana. I appreciate it. The LA guys got it, but they're not saying anything. This administration heard you loud and clear. This law required American steel and cement and products made by American workers in all of our new infrastructure law. We're making sure that we're using American products to build American projects in our country. And when it comes to manufacturing, that's just a start. You already heard the Congressman talk about this. Tomorrow, the President will sign the CHIPS and Science Act, that will provide $72 billion for semiconductor research and manufacturing in the United States. It's going to create tens of thousands of permanent, good-paying jobs all across our supply chain. And it will lower the cost of cars, computers, and appliances for American families, your members and their families. In addition, Congress is finalizing the Inflation Reduction Act that includes the President's priorities. It will not only bring down inflation, but it will cut health care costs for millions of families. It will reduce prescription drug costs for seniors. It will cut the deficit. And it will raise taxes on corporations and not working class people who pay their fair share and enough in taxes right now in this country. It will also address some of the climate change and clean energy stuff for America, but we want to make sure as we do that, as we transition, I know there's members here, I heard you when I was in Wisconsin, we need to make sure those jobs are your jobs, we need to make sure those jobs are union jobs, and we need to make sure if we're going to replace any job, that they're replaced by the steel workers so they get a good wage and a good benefit for the people that work in those industries. The bill also invests over $60 billion in manufacturing, including critical mineral processing done by the United Steelworkers. We are bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States because American workers are the best workers in the world. That's why at the same time we have to keep looking out for workers who are impacted by global trade. We have to make sure they have opportunities. I want to thank President Conway for your leadership in advocating for renewal for the Trade Adjustment Assistance Program. The Department of Labor certifies workers for TAA. In the past 2 years alone, we are proud we have certified over 3,300 USW workers. The TAA is a program that works. It's a program that workers deserve. And it's a program we need to continue to support and build up our workforce. So I believe the TAA must be renewed as soon as possible. And we are working with the White House and with Congress to make that happen. As Labor Secretary, it's my honor and privilege to be focused on the needs of working people. In the Department of Labor, we are expanding our capacity to empower workers morning and night, protect health and safety on the job, cracking down on wage theft and discrimination, investing in career pathways to good jobs, expanding our programs for veterans and rural workers, and we are reaching to support our most vulnerable workers, including workers of color, women, the LGBTQ workers, and workers with disabilities and immigrants. No matter where you live, every single worker has the right and dignity for safety on the job. Every single worker has the right for a fair wage. And every single worker has the right to organize and form a union in the United States of America. We need to continue to strengthen our labor laws, but we're not waiting for Congress to act. We are working across government to take down the barriers to worker organizing. And we're going to be using the bully pulpit to speak out in support of workers' rights. We are making it clear that workers' choice and the choice of workers alone is if they want to decide to form a union or not. More workers right now in our country than ever are looking for that opportunity. Worker petitions for union representation is up 58% this year. And 3/4 of young workers say they want a union. A wave of organizing is sweeping across this nation. And the Biden-Harris administration is meeting this moment. In the Labor Department, we're getting ready to launch You Know Your Rights campaign. We are setting up the first ever online worker organizing resource center. It's a one-stop shop on how to form a union. Together, we have the opportunity to write the next great chapter of history of the labor movement in our country. And I'm grateful to the United Steelworkers for helping us lead the way. The fact is, when workers organize, our country moves forward. It's the opportunity for good wages and benefits. And it's more than that. Fundamentally, it's about respect. Respect for your work, your voice, and your rights. I want to tell you for a minute what that means to me. My parents came to this country in the 50s from Ireland. My father was, they're both immigrants. And we have this look of immigrants today in America that they're bad. Well, my parents are immigrants, and I know half of this room's parents are immigrants as well when they came to this country. And my father had an opportunity to join Labor's Local 223 in Boston. And when I think about those numbers, those 223, what those numbers represent, those numbers to me represent not what I did, but what the generations before me did. Because when you go back to your union halls from this conference and you look on the wall, that charter that's on the wall, those are the folks that had it tough. We are standing on their shoulders. We are fighting for what they fought for good wages and better benefits and good working conditions and 40-hour work week and overtime and shifts to make sure that we can take care of our workers. We didn't do that. They did that, and we can't forget that. I followed my father into that union. I worked construction. Because I had health care, I was able to get into recovery. I was able to be the recording secretary of my local union, the president of my local union, the head of the building trades. I had a chance to run for state representative, and the labor movement was behind me. I had a chance to become mayor of Boston for 7 years, and the labor movement was behind me. And I stand before you as the United States Secretary of Labor, a proud union member, and a voice for workers in the president's cabinet. I am here because a union opened my door to my immigrant family and me. And President Biden says the middle class built America, but unions built the middle class. Now, after decades of attacks on workers' rights, we are rebuilding that middle class with good union jobs, with the steelworkers all across this country. And that's the opportunity that we must have for everyone, no matter your race or your gender or where you live or what industry you come from. We have the opportunity right now, because we have the most pro-labor president in the history of the United States of America, and you have a labor secretary who carries a union book in his pocket. So brothers and sisters, if you don't remember anything else of this speech, I want you to remember this, because you're all leaders in your own local unions. And we might have disagreements in our own family. And that's okay, because every single kitchen table has disagreements. But I want you to understand, you are that buffer. The men and women in this room are that buffer between having an opportunity to get into the middle class and not getting in the middle class. So I ask you all, let's keep fighting for good jobs. Let's keep fighting for the rights to organize. Let's keep fighting for child care and paid leave. Let's fight for the opportunity that we can reach all America. Because, brothers and sisters, when we stand together, we will win. When we work together, we win. And we fight together, working people always win. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the labor movement. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.